Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I've got to say, I am turning into the Oracle at Delphi. We did a story about the councils that were raising their council tax regardless of Humza Yousaf's call for a tax freeze. And it could have been if he'd have paid for it, but he was unaware of the cost, obviously. And then he saw the real cost and he went, I can't pay it. And they panicked, and they gave them 135 to 140 million pounds when they needed to give them about £1 billion. And we've talked about the two councils, Orkney and Argyll and Bute, and how they were going to be putting the council tax up regardless. And I said in the video, it was on Wednesday, that come Friday we'd probably hear of a third. I said it would either be Friday or Monday. We'd hear of a third council looking to put council tax up. And that once that happened, the fourth council would probably be the first of the SNP councils to put the council tax up. Well, it seems I was very prescient. Only we're not looking at the third and fourth. We're looking at potentially every single one of them. I said it would happen. I called it, and I said it would happen probably Friday. I tell you, you hear it here first, folks. Let's have a look at this story, because COSLA are saying that virtually every council now is going to be putting up the council tax. Oh boy, I'm good. Here goes. And to be honest, it couldn't happen to a bigger idiot, could it? He stands there, he's on that stage, he's got a crappy speech, and he thinks, panic stations, what can I say? And then he comes up with this marvellous, brilliant idea, and doesn't talk to anyone about it, just announces it, hasn't worked out the cost, hasn't worked out all the implications, hasn't spoken to COSLA, has broken the Verity House agreement. His party colleagues don't know about it, he's in a cabinet, don't know about it, the civil service don't know about it. But hey, it's a genius idea and it's bound to work. The guy is an absolute buffoon, isn't he? Humza Yousaf faces huge council tax freeze challenge as local authorities push for the cap as SNP conference boast under threat. Under threat. It's already broken. There's two going already. And like I said once two go, there'll be a third, and then the first SNP council will go. And at the moment the first SNP council goes, it's done. He's finished. This guy has no authority over his own party now. He is done. He is a dead duck leader. He can say things and people just outright ignore him. He has got zero credibility and zero authority, and it is joyous to watch this party run around like a headless chicken. And it is fantastic, isn't it? The First Minister announced this policy, the council tax freeze, with great aplomb at the great and wonderful SNP conference, where they had to carefully take the shots of the audience because there was so few there. They went all the way up to Aberdeen, and then there was just big areas of vast empty spaces. And I don't mean like outside Aberdeen, I mean within the hall, and there was 3 men and a dog. Load of party wonks and some SNP councillors. That was about it, Anyway, this angered councils who he did not consult prior with. And now they could just go ahead with the hikes anyway. And as I've always maintained, they are under no legal obligation to freeze their council tax simply because he said it. It's not the law. It's his desire. It's his wish. But that doesn't make it so. If wishes were horses, none of us would walk. Humza Yousaf's flagship council tax boast is facing a serious challenge from local authorities who are pushing for a cap instead. The Scottish Government have only committed £144 million to help struggling councils with just a 5% rise. Barely. This is despite a promise that it would be fully funded. Yeah, they promised it would be fully funded till they saw the numbers and realised there's no way on God's good earth that they could fully fund it. It was way beyond their means. They're all mouth, no trousers. That's the problem. And in his case, there's nothing in the trousers. Old Ken doll. So he doesn't even know what to do. He's sitting there and he's panicked. And of course, when you're running a country on panic, it's never good. A number of councils have already indicated they may launch a mutiny against the plans. As I mentioned, Orkney and Argyll and Bute. And they propose rises, which they have the power to do, of course, and they always have. Leaders are looking at appealing to SNP ministers and letting them hike up council tax by a capped amount instead of locking it at current levels. They don't need permission. They can just raise the council tax. This would prove to be another embarrassing U-turn after so many. He doesn't know what direction he's facing. For Mr. Yousaf, whose time in Butte House has been littered with them, including most recently when he claimed a ban on XL bullies was not needed, and then less than a week later announced this at Holyrood. And it should have gone through back when the UK government were doing theirs, and that would have stopped all those animal attacks. We've seen several of them. And luckily, I mean, unlucky they happened, but luckily they happened to grown men. They'd have happened to children. You'd be looking at little white coffins. And that would have been the true state of what Humza Yousaf has done to this country. He pledged that council tax will be frozen in his keynote speech at the SNP conference. Of course, that's turned out to be an absolute pile of horse shit. Like, so much of what he does. I mean, this guy must have a farm, and his crops must be marvellous, because they are completely inundated with horse shit every day. The 144 million offered to do this is not enough. It's nowhere near enough. For some local authorities, with many planning to raise this charge by more than 5% due to the chronic underfunding from the Scottish Government. And it's even led to SNP councillors criticising their party executive. When you've got the SNP councils criticising them, you know it's bad. And on top of this, council tax freeze here have a pittance. They've also cut the housing budget, which means monies that went to the councils directly from government to cover housing costs, building, refurbs and things like that. That's been cut. So it's not just a freeze, it's actually a massive cut in council funding. So even if he fully funded the council tax rise, there'd still be 200 million light on the housing capital front. That would still have led to cuts. Because that moron stands on a stage with a shitty speech and needed to pep it up. He's an absolute ballbag, isn't he? Anyway, COSLA is set to meet on Friday today to discuss the issue, or to issue the discus. Before then meeting with Finance Secretary Shona Robinson later to discuss it. Yes, but you'll need to have some crayons and a big piece of paper so you can draw what you're doing, because she won't get it, will she? Don't bring purple ones. Anyway, as well as this 63 million cut to day-to-day revenue and a 55 million pound cut for capital spending, the Herald reports that the SNP have admitted that all available funding has been fully committed for both revenue and capital budgets. In other words, they don't have any more money. There is nothing left. They are like the old woman. You know, they've gone to the cupboard and the cupboard is bare. And that poor dog ain't getting no bone today. Miss Robinson admitted in finance update documents that she was open to considering financial and non-financial issues and asks. A relaxation around a full freeze on council tax was also mooted. That's their way. They say a relaxation is their way of saying a complete and utter U-turn, because they've got this one so very badly wrong. Like so much. Talking of giving a dog a bone, I believe that many have. One of those options being considered is for council tax being cancelled and a capped rise to be agreed instead. There we go. Already, council officials in Edinburgh and Argyll and Bute are considering hiking up rates anyway. Edinburgh? I knew Orkney and I knew Argyll and Bute. Now Edinburgh. So there we go. There's your third one today. Edinburgh are considering it. Edinburgh's Labour, isn't it? Labour-led. So, yeah, so that's the third. Now, did I not say, that's your third one today. Edinburgh coming up today. So that's your third, and that's a Labour-led one. The next one should be, some point next week, we'll announce it, and that will be the SNP. Let's see how good I am. I reckon I'm good. Anyway, a report by the capital's local authority sets out that beyond withholding of funding dependent on freezing council tax rates by SNP ministers, it is officers' understanding that no specific penalties or sanctions would be applied in the event councils chose to raise these. In other words, there's nothing they can do. They're making it sound as though we're choosing not to do and punish you. We're not choosing to do anything if you raise them. They don't have the power to do it. They don't have the authority to punish a council that raises its council tax. So this claim of we're allowing you to do it is bullshit. Again, what is it with the SNP and their complete and utter bullshittiness? Anyway, Labour leader of Edinburgh City Council, there we go, I said it was Labour, Cammy Day, told the Herald This is a regressive policy that benefits more well-off in society and is evidenced by the many independent think tanks. This is the only tax raising power given to councils, and yet again, the government has done us over with their failed promise of a fully funded council tax freeze, which will see further cuts to local councils across Scotland. Because even if they fully funded it, because of the cut to the housing benefit, there would have still been cuts. It was just... They give with one hand, but they take far more with the other. But in this case, they're not even giving you, they're just taking. That's the trouble when you have morons running government, though, isn't it? Liz Smith, Conservative Shadow Secretary for Finance and Local Government, said, "It is no surprise councils who face yet another huge cut, thanks to the SNP's tax and act budget, should want to challenge the freeze." Humza Yousaf announced it, apparently without consulting anyone or thinking how it would be paid for. We know. We said this at the time. You could see them all. You could see them all putting their heads in their hands and go, what the hell is he talking about? Where the hell did this come from? And it's all out the back end of his head because the guy's an absolute dick. Anyway, a government spokesman said the Scottish Government, and here we go, listen to some bullshit from that. We'll do it. It's all bullshit, we know. The Scottish Government is making available record funding of more than 14 billion to councils in 2024-25. That's a real terms increase of 4.3%. No, it's not. What they're doing is they're counting the 144 million that they're giving them for the rent freeze as part of that real terms increase. But it's only for 1 year. It's not a real terms increase because they needed way more. It's a real terms cut. And don't forget, they're also cutting 200 million off the housing budget as well. They're telling you bollocks. They're looking you in the face and lying to you. That 4.3 real terms rise is including the 144 that is the council tax freeze money, which is nowhere enough. So take the freeze money away, let the council tax it, and then see if that 4.3% real terms rise is there. And the answer is no, it isn't. It's a real terms cut. It's a real terms cut, and they know it. But they have to lie, they have to spin. They have to make it look as though they're not complete and utter ball bags, don't they? I'm coming up. So more lies, more spin, and now all the councils may be putting them up. COSLA are having that big meeting today and they're all doing it. But I was right now. So I said, when Orkney went, I said there'll be another one. Within days, there was another one, Argyll and Bute. And on Wednesday, when the Argyll and Bute was announced, I said by Friday, there'll be another one. And there we have it. Edinburgh. So that's 3 councils, all not SNP councils. I reckon the early part of next week, the 4th council, and it will be the first SNP council, and that will be the end of the matter, because then they'll all just do it. Aren't I good? I am like, honestly, I'll read your tea leaves. You know, send me a picture of your palm. I'll do your palm. You know, I'm like Gypsy Rose Lee, love. Cross my palm with silver. Or, better still, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. They're just as good. Anyway, thank you very much for that. I'm well chuffed that I keep getting them right. I'm 3 for 3 on that, aren't I? Anyway, till next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, you hear it here first, folks. Bye.